Do you want a jig for making through dovetails and box joints and make both of them in several sizes? And do you want to make those joints with a handheld router at the bench or on a router table? How about one jig that lets you make them both ways? What a coincidence. Leigh's new R9 Plus joinery system does all that and more. To keep the price of this jig down, Leigh lets you build the beam that holds the components of this system. They provide all of the hardware needed as well as detailed instructions to make building it very easy. This beam will handle joints up to 24 inches long, but you can make it as long as you like. You would have to buy additional pin plates that go along the top of the beam, but everything else indexes to those plates. The heart of the R9 system is a CNC machine plate. This one plate is used for making all of the joints in all of the different sizes and is used for the handheld and router table operations. All of the plate setups are done using these holes that go over the pin plates. The user guide shows each of the setups very clearly, and as long as you read that, there's virtually no way to make a mistake. And the R9 kit includes all of these necessary accessories for making joints. Leigh also offers this accessory kit that expands the joint sizes you can make. Before you start making joints, there's a one-time setup procedure that indexes the plate. This is very quick to do and fully explained in the user's guide. Tighten up the pin plate screws and the jig is ready to use. The included F-style clamps can be repositioned as necessary for the different sized wood. These clamps are more than capable of holding the wood securely. This is a fixed width jig, so the wood needs to be cut to a certain width. The user guides have charts that let you select the width wood that's best for your job. Rip your project pieces to the correct width and you're ready to start making joints. The E-bush guide collar is designed by Leigh and is one of the real reasons these jigs are so easy to use and so easy to fit joints. The guide collar is actually oblong, and turning it with the included wrench lets you tighten or loosen the fit of the joint. I'm going to try making a through dovetail joint, so I've cut the wood to the right size and following the instructions and setting the plate up. I clamped the wood in the jig, making sure we had the same exposure on both sides of these fingers. Then I turn the side stop so it contacts the side of the wood, and that'll remain constant through the rest of this joint. Now I can go ahead and route out the tails. The user guide has clear instructions and photos that walk you through the whole process. And here are the tails that we just cut. Now I follow the instructions to reposition the plate to cut the pins. Everything else remains the same. And then I can go ahead and route out all of the pins. All you have to worry about is making sure that you don't tilt the router and to be sure that the guide collar follows the fingers all the way around. And now we can try the fit. And this joint is a little bit loose, but not bad. I think this is close enough that we're going to just try gluing this up and see how it goes. If this were part of a project, I might recut this with a little tighter setting, but we'll get to play with the E-bush in the next piece. Now I'm going to set the R9 up for making box joints on my router table. Again, it's just a matter of following the instructions and using the setup they prescribe. I've also put the E-bush into the insert plate and made sure that the number 5 is pointed straight back across the table to make adjustments later easier. And then we just have to flip the jig over and put the wood in it, and we're ready to cut the joint. And now we can route out this set of fingers. Again, there's nothing fancy about using this jig on a router table. Just make sure that the guide bush rubs all the way around the fingers. Now we move the plate over to the new position according to the instructions for cutting the other side of the finger joint. Now I can cut the second set of fingers. Other than moving the plate to the new position, everything else remains exactly the same. I think you can tell by the dead blow mallet that this joint's a little bit tight. The alignment and depth of cut both look fine, so I think we're just going to have to loosen this joint up just a little bit. I'm going to adjust the E-bush about one number to the looser side and recut the joint. And then I went back and cut 2 new boards with the new E-bush setting. There simply is no easier way of adjusting the fit of a box joint than with this E-bush setup. And now we can try the new joint. It's still snug, but it's not nearly as tight as it was before. This is right off the jig, and you can see that this joint fits nice all the way down. Without the E-bush capability, we'd be building a whole new jig trying to get this kind of fit. So if you'd like a jig that makes through dovetails and box joints, and lets you make several sizes of each without tearing out any hair, And if you want to get all that in a jig that you don't have to sell off a kit or two to get, the Leigh R9 Plus is something you just have to see.